You guys see Vince's mustache though, and his hair job? Why is he dyeing his hair like that? He's got to be dating some younger chick, isn't he? It's got to be it. He's trying to look younger and feel younger and fucking impress some young fucking biddy. That's what it is. I never pictured Vince that kind of guy to want to hang on to his youth so stubbornly like that. He's got to know how ridiculous he looks, right? Like he yells at everybody else when they wear stupid shit or do stupid shit. He has to. There's no way he looks in the mirror and goes, "God damn, pal, you look 20 years younger. That's good shit." He's got to know he looks ridiculous. Just saying. This week on the Pro Wrestling Podcast, the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, addresses whether or not anybody from AEW has hit him up, asking what it's like on the other side. The Wise Man, Paul Heyman, talks about the Bloodline storyline, working with Roman Reigns, and Cody Rhodes and the big story going into WrestleMania. Logan Paul addresses his WWE contract status. And Jon Moxley opens up about the CM Punk Instagram comments. I'm your host, Seth Grimes, and this is the Pro Wrestling Podcast. Fuck is up, everybody? Welcome. Come on in to another episode of the Pro Wrestling Podcast. I am your host, Seth Grimes, here on a WrestleMania weekend. By the time you guys listen to this, you may have already watched night one. As I record this, we are heading into night one. Fucking excited for some WrestleMania. I love this time of year. I always get excited. I get that giddy, eager feeling. It never goes away. I think every big wrestling nerd has that feeling around WrestleMania time. Royal Rumble too. I always have it for the Royal Rumble. I get very excited. The possibilities are always exciting, even if the Rumble ends up disappointing. I always feel that hype. And certainly for WrestleMania in 2 nights. And I love the 2-night format. It works for me. I'm for it. I got something to look forward to on Saturday. I got something to look forward to on Sunday. I got to buy snacks and food for both nights, but it is what it is. We'll work on the diet starting Monday. We're going to eat like a fat fuck this weekend because it's WrestleMania. So I'm stoked. Nobody around me is stoked, though, trying to get the kids to watch and the girl and stuff. And, it's wrestling. Nobody really cares about wrestling, but I fucking love it, and I am excited. Hall of Fame was last night. Loved the Hall of Fame. I do want to talk about that a little bit later. Something I don't normally talk about. We don't cover a lot of wrestling stuff, but the Hall of Fame technically is not in-ring stuff. I'm not reviewing Raw or SmackDown or anything. So it fits, and we're going to go ahead and cover it here on this show. Lots to get into on this WrestleMania weekend, and I know for a fact that you guys have a lot of other content to consume too. So I'm just not going to waste any more of your time. Let's go ahead and just get right into it. Starting with our first topic this week. Renee Moxley Good sat down with her hubby, her man candy, her boy toy, if you will, Jon Moxley. And they sat down for what was supposed to be a normal Sessions podcast. They said that they had already tried to record it once, but their daughter was acting up, so they weren't able to get it in. And in the meantime, before they could come record again, a bunch of shit went down on the internet. And before we get into our clip of Jon Moxley addressing said shit, let's talk about said shit. Let's go ahead and hop on over to Fightful.com. And our good friends at Fightful have the story over here with CM Punk saying he'll never put a company over his health again in a since-deleted Instagram post. And this was Punk just replying to shit. This was Meltzer spouting off, actually, running with what he had heard, what he was told. And Punk felt the need to respond and then immediately deleted it. But, of course, the internet is forever, isn't it? So we still have it here. CM Punk had said, sigh. I was cleared. Sigh like, not sigh like Raphael's weapon or anything. I wasn't cleared to come back to wrestle yet. Then the plan was to wrestle at the pay-per-view. I sat and listened to Moxley's Rocky 3 idea. I explained how I'd never seen a Rocky movie, which is blasphemous, by the way, fucking shameful, especially Rocky for fucking 3. It has Clubber Lang in it. It has Mr. T, and it has Thunder Lips, Hulk Hogan. How, as a wrestling fan, have you not seen Rocky 3? If you watch any Rocky movie, watch Rocky 3. But I digress. And explain I'd never seen a Rocky movie, and I thought the idea sucked. But if the boss wanted to do it, whatever. He said he wouldn't lose to me. This is Moxley is talking about. I'd never experienced someone refusing to lose to me. I just laughed. I said, Tony, if this is what you want, what he wanted, he said yes. He's the boss, so I said okay, but I'd never be cleared first. But I'd need to be cleared first. They kept saying it could be a squash, so I didn't need to be cleared. I scoffed at that. My health is more important. Dave Meltzer is a liar. Jericho is a liar and a stooge. There were plans, but plans always change, and I'll never put a company before my own health. So those were the comments by CM Punk that led to the coming Jon Moxley clip here. Just to address that briefly, though, at least in the context of Jon Moxley, I think refusing to do a job in any set is laughable, right? Like, it's fucking pro wrestling, you know? If we're doing an angle here, we're doing a fucking angle here. If you're scheduled to lose the belt, you're scheduled to lose the belt. Why would you not want to lose to CM Punk? That's fucking stupid. And as far as not being cleared, it can be a squash. Look, he wasn't cleared because his fucking ankle hurt. So he doesn't need to, like, can he walk on it? Okay, so then he can probably get kicked in the face, fall down, and get pinned. Now, fair on Punk to say, I don't want to do it, I'm hurt, and you can't make me. Fine, I get that, and I get him scoffing at it. But it's not unreasonable to suggest that dude could just take a fucking boot, fall down, and get pinned, and not have to worry about putting his precious little pinky toes at risk. But all of that is to lead up to this interview with Jon Moxley as he sat down with his wife. Check out this clip as he addresses this situation, and then we will catch you on the backside to follow up.
Don't really give a shit to respond to any of this drama, but of course I would be remiss to not ask you about it, I guess. Is there anything that you would like to say or acknowledge, or is there anything that you would like to address with all the stuff that is kind of unfolded in the last couple of days on the internet, in the wrestling world?
No.
Okay.
Because nothing has unfolded. It's fucking annoying that, like, just because somebody said some stupid shit on social media, like, that's not news. But it is, and it ends up being a thing. Like, it's fucking annoying. I don't want to get dragged into this dumb shit.
Yeah.
But, you know, but okay. So I'm not going to say I could fucking unload on a lot of fucking people right now. And when I start getting dragged into this shit, it tempts me to do that. But I'm not going to fucking sink to that level because it's fucking lame.
Well,
but I'll tell you.
Go ahead.
I will say this. The entire summer, I was not under contract.
Right.
No contract. Free agent. I was at SummerSlam weekend wrestling fucking Desperado and shit the day of SummerSlam. Fucking suplexed him on a bunch of aluminum cans and shit, cut in half. It was fucking dope. I could have walked into SummerSlam that night with the AEW fucking belt if I had been so inclined. Nobody knew that because I don't put my shit out there in the world and let everybody know every fucking thing about my business, you know? So I was not under contract. That being said, during this time period, the night in
Cleveland.
fucking what's his dick's talking about, it was in Indianapolis, not Indianapolis, Minneapolis. It was the night he came back and was hopping around on one foot and all that, and bumping around Inner Circle or whatever after me and Jericho wrestled in a badass match, by the way. So we're talking later about stuff. Now, keep in mind, at this time, this is my whole point. I basically don't work there for all intents and purposes. I don't even work here. Tony is not my boss. I don't even have to be in this room. I don't have to do shit. So even me being in this room and offering and agreeing to a storyline that puts you over at the pay-per-view, if anything, I'm bending over backwards for Tony and for this dude and for the company and everybody. Because I didn't have to. I didn't have to do shit. Does it get like annoying sometimes to be like, if you'd have just fucking gone with me in the first place, like we wouldn't be fucking going through this again.
Right.
It kind of does, but also like, no, it's all good. Like I don't complain. I see the good in everything, and I'm just still having so much fucking fun. And like life is so fucking good right now. And I don't want any negative bullshit.
Right.
Like,
what's
the fucking complaint about? Like I will say this, and I hate to say, I don't think I've ever said anything even remotely negative about AEW, but I will say this as an observer. It seems like, I spent 8 years on the indies, spent a couple years in WWE developmental, spent like 8 years in WWE. I have never seen so much bullshit drama in one place in my entire fucking life. And I hate to say that, but it's like, and I don't know if it's because of the age of social media, shit gets like blown out of proportion.
Right.
Like one person types one stupid fucking drunk tweet, and all of a sudden it's all anybody wants to talk about. Like.
But also it's like maybe just like a generational thing.
So I'll say this, because Moxley at least believes in his point that, I'm not even under contract. So to come in here and do a job to you is doing a favor for you in the company. I don't have to do shit. I get that. I do. Business-wise, you don't have to. But you're carrying the belt and you don't have a contract. Probably should drop the belt, don't you think? Also, the story is to get the belt on Punk so that Punk can drop the belt, do his little rematch feud with MJF, drop the belt to MJF. That was the idea before we knew that Punk was going to be hurt again and that he was going to burn the whole company down around him at the same time. But so I get where Moxley's coming from. I just think it's bullshit. I think you do the job. I think if you're supposed to do the job, you do the job. And look, he did. So ultimately, he did business at the end of the day. He was just fucking pissy about it. And I'll never understand why being pissy about it. But I will say this. If you're going to do a job, I like the Rocky III idea. It's not a bad angle to do for professional wrestling. Punk, that was a big moment when Punk lost. Now, it was too close to the pay-per-view. If you're going to do Rocky III, you got to have the build back and the comeback. Punk's still hurt. Punk needs more time to recover. Punk needs to get in shape. You do the montage. He's running up the stairs. And then he comes back and he overcomes Jon Moxley. It's a good story. Moxley's not wrong with that. Punk didn't like it. He didn't want to go with that, but whatever. We'll do it. He did the job just fine. He felt like a sack of shit. I didn't know Moxley and Punk didn't get along like that because I know Punk and Renee are friendly. And I know I've never heard Punk say anything bad about Moxley. As a matter of fact, I've heard him speak fondly of Moxley. And of course, Punk was responsible for Moxley getting the call up to be part of the Shield. So, or at least had thrown his name out there. I'm sure Mox would have found his way up anyway because he's talented. But I just didn't know that there was that kind of heat there. But for, Punk to say that it was stupid and it sucked and that he laughed at Moxley for refusing to do the job. I don't know. This is a tough one. Because I am of the opinion that you always do the job and you do what the boss wants you to do. You don't do boo-boo face. And, Cornette had recently said that he remembers Moxley coming out with job face on when he's coming out to drop the belt to Punk that night. To me, you do the fucking job. I like the Rocky 3 angle, but you do the job at the end of the day. So I think there's more to this than just simply I don't want to do the job, and that's where the heat is. I think Moxley is clearly annoyed by look at the promo he cut out on Dynamite, the Dynamite after All Out. He came out pissed and he took back control of the company. He put it back on his shoulders, because he was the guy. And then they fucking decided that they wanted Punk to be the guy instead, at least for now, maybe to get to Max or something. But, Moxley had to come back out and carry the company on his shoulders, which he does a fantastic job of, by the way. So I think there's frustration there. I think people are salty at CM Punk in that company. I think people don't like him and don't like his attitude, don't like his influence. And as a matter of fact now, and especially him taking shots at Jericho now again, because, Jericho has been pretty clear that he does, he called Punk a cancer. So maybe Punk doesn't need to come back at this point, because now Moxley's pissed off at him too. And look, I don't care what any of you guys say. I really don't. Like, you'll see Cornette out there and be like, you want to sacrifice your top draw for a bunch of playground, trampoline. Yeah, you do, because on one side you got the Young Bucks, you got Kenny Omega, all three of which are in a position where they could be leaving the company at any time now. Their contracts are coming up within the year or about a year. They could leave. They could end up going to WWE if you push them away, or if the locker room becomes somewhere they don't want to be anymore. You got Chris Jericho, who's basically an EVP for you too. He's your first top big name. And he carries and waves the AEW flag proudly. He represents it everywhere he goes. And now you got Jon Moxley. And there's probably a bunch of others too. And sure, you got people on the other side, like Dax has come out. And, FTR is friendly with Punk. And, Hobbs likes him and that sort of thing. But Jade had friendly things to say about him. At the end of the day, though, like, you can't piss off your entire locker room for one guy, no matter how big of a star that guy is. Is there money to be made with CM Punk? Abso-fucking-lutely. Bring him back as a heel. And have the crowd fucking use that heat. Or put him and FTR against the fucking Bucks. That's the way to go. You do the fucking 6-man rivalry. Feud them for a half a year to a year in different combinations of the 6-man, tag teams, singles, combinations, building to like Omega versus Punk at a fucking like an All Out in the Bucks versus FTR rubber match. There's money to be made there, but are you going to alienate your entire locker room at this point? Moxley kind of put this over the edge for me. Jericho had me teetering on the edge, because I wouldn't want to lose Jericho as Tony Khan. If I had to choose between Jericho and Punk, I'd choose Jericho. Not that Jericho is a better talent than CM Punk, though I would argue that he might be. But he's also just more pro AEW. He's more helpful. He's less drama. He's really passionate about the company and wants to see it succeed. Punk does not strike me as passionate about the company or wanting it to succeed when he fucking lights a match and sets it on fire during a press conference. Trying to run a business here. I'm trying to kill the business here. And damage he did is still felt to this day. I still do not think a half a year later that AEW has recovered from Brawl Out. it made them look inferior. It exposed their immaturity, their weaknesses, how vulnerable they are, how really like poorly run and under control that they really are. You know, Tony's a great nerd, and he's great at doing nerd shit. And oh, we have a great card for you today. This guy's got this guy and fucking stats and numbers and wins and undefeated, and it's going to be a great show. He can't handle the personalities. He's not proven that he can yet. You got to put your balls on the table. I know you're dealing with a bunch of big, tough, angry, sweaty, mean, burly, gnarly guys sometimes. But you still got to put your balls on the table and be like, nope, this is what we're doing for the company, and fuck you and fuck you and fuck you if you don't like it. Sorry. You know, WWE's not going to hire everybody back. I think that's another Cornettism, you know. Lay the law down. Don't be scared everybody's going to fucking leave you and run. You know, people will respect it or they'll fuck off, one or the other. That's how it should be done. And I think at this point, Punk needs the hammer brought down on him. And I've been back and forth on this, and you guys have heard me because I'm a Punk fan. I think there's money to be made there, and I do go back and forth that I think maybe he should come back if he can make some money, you know, if he can do that angle. If he's going to come back and just be a jerk and not talk to anybody, and he's going to want to work in his own little bubble on the side and not work with any of these people, and there's still going to be beef and contention in the locker room and salty feelings, then I don't think he belongs there anymore. I think once you get to the point where you got 5 different top stars on your roster that are standing up against a CM Punk return, against a one fucking guy, I don't care who that guy is. He's a problem in the locker room. And you know, you've had a Mark Henry come out and say he's not a cancer, and you've had other people defend him. And it is nuanced. It's complicated. He's not in there to stir shit up and be a dick. But he does still. He still does, and he always has, and that's part of Punk, and that's partly why I love him. I like that he's sticks up for himself, and then he goes against the grain, and he's outspoken, and he is a rage against the machine. But I don't know this time. I think you don't risk upsetting your entire locker room. I think if they're that united, which Wade Keller has reported on too, that the locker room's pretty firmly against Punk coming back, at least for the most part. I think if you took a poll, it sounds like the locker room would vote no on this one. Why do it? Why bring it back? You're just going to cause other people to go, well, this is not where I want to be anymore. You heard Renee say it. AEW was this oasis for people to come, you know, because WWE was the big evil corporate machine. WWE was the machine that people wanted to run away from. You know, they didn't like the way Vince was running shit with an iron fist. They want a place where they can just go be wrestlers, have fun, create good art, and make good money at the same time. They don't want to go there and deal with a bunch of backstage locker room politics, drama, bullshit. And you heard Moxley say it. He said both things. I am having a blast. I love it here. This is the most fun I'm having. But also, I've never seen more drama in my entire life, and it can very well be a symptom of the younger locker room and the social media age and just the different personality types and the different era that we're in now, and people being able to go into business for themselves. So that's a huge part of it. It's not that AEW isn't necessarily just full of fucking drama. It's that the drama is very loud and pronounced and happens often because a lot of these young people get online and they stir their shit up. So is what it is. I think I'm leaning at this point that maybe Punk shouldn't come back. Now that Moxley is also pissy with Punk, Moxley doesn't strike me as a guy that's going to be like, I don't want him here. He'll probably be like, whatever. But do you want him unhappy? Do you want him to not be as comfortable or just, you know, happy to be in the locker room? You don't want people like fucking hiding in their corners and trying to avoid people. Yes, it's a business. Yes, it's not all friends wrestling. Yes, there will be fights and disagreements and arguments and beefs and tiffs, and I get all that. I understand it. But if there's one guy in your locker room that has 5 of your top stars bitching about him, complaining about him, running to the dirt sheets about him, not wanting him back, whether they're right or Punk's right or it's somewhere in the middle. You have 5 top stars and 1 top star that half the internet fucking hates anyway. It's time to fucking pull the plug on that one. I really do. I think Moxley puts it over, when it was the Elite. I'm very skeptical of the Elite. I don't buy their fucking babyface, I'm a good church boy bullshit. I think they do play games. I do think they play favorites. I think they do start drama. I do think they leak shit. But when you add Chris Jericho to that, say what you want about Jericho, and I know I have a lot of Cornette listeners, so I know a lot of you probably don't like Jericho. But at the end of the day, say what you want about him, he's a mega star. He's as big a star, if not bigger, than CM Punk. Can he work better? Is he selling more merch currently? Is he a little bit more meh now because he's been in AEW for 5 years? Sure, absolutely. But add Jon Moxley to that. Now at this point, it's like, what the fuck are you doing, man? Moxley's wife works there. She's friends with Punk, but she's going to side with her man. It's just not worth it. It's not worth it. Punk's either got to come back, shake everybody's hand, and squash every single beef. Work it out if he wants to come back and play. If he's going to come back in and just be a hard ass and, I'm not apologizing to you and I'm just going to work in my bubble and fuck you guys, it's probably not worth it. And that's my thoughts on this at this point. So it's bigger. It's bigger than doing the fucking job. But, I said my piece on that too. But what are your thoughts? I'll wrap this up here. Do you have any thoughts about, any of it, from Punk just not wanting to, bitching about Moxley not wanting to do the job, and laughing about this, or Moxley not wanting to do the job, or the greater picture? Should Punk be back in the locker room? What do you think? Who's right? Who's wrong? Where does all of this land? I'm interested in your thoughts because this is such a nuanced thing, and I'm sure there's something I'm missing or overlooking or haven't, at least considered in this particular clip. So please feel free to leave that in the comments below. With that said, I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next. The wise man, Paul Heyman, was on Out of Character this week with Ryan Satin. This was over on the WWE on Fox YouTube. Of course, Ryan Satin hosts a wonderful show over there. Always has the big guests. This week, WrestleMania week, no different. The wise man out doing the rounds, Paul Heyman promoting WrestleMania. And what a better choice to have on your show than the guy who is front and center for the entire storyline that's driving this entire WrestleMania season. I'm assuming that the Usos main event the night one. It's either that or Charlotte and Rhea. And then, of course, Roman and Cody headlining night 2. So this Bloodline storyline is the lifeblood of this year's WrestleMania. Paul Heyman, up close and personal, involved from the very beginning. Let's go ahead and check out this first clip here. Paul Heyman talking about the Bloodline storyline, talking about what makes the Bloodline storyline so different, so special, that people are already calling this one of, if not the greatest storylines in WWE history. Check out this clip.
The main event of most SmackDowns or Raws that have the privilege of Roman Reigns appearing live is a promo segment. We don't even bother teasing you that he's going to wrestle on television anymore. We don't even bother with it. The story takes precedent over everything. And you're going to see the next chapter of the story play out in a scene in the ring in Seg 11 for Raw, Seg 11 for SmackDown, or Seg 16 for Raw. That's it. The backstages that we do now, if I told you about that 2 years ago, you'd point your finger and laugh at me. You'd go, this guy's out of touch. He has no clue where the business is headed. But look at what Roman Reigns has done with that. Yep. We do movie scenes in the back now. We do movie scenes. We do scenes like out of Peaky Blinders or Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul or whatever the hot show is today, you know. But these are the scenes that, you know, or Hunters, you know, with Pacino and Lena Olin, you know. These are the things that we're doing now on a couch.
Just like how like this, you know?
We play out movie scenes that progress the story. And this is the top star. It's not, ladies and gentlemen, I'm standing here with Roman Reigns, who defends the title this Sunday at WrestleMania against Cody Rhodes. You know, Roman, what do you think? Oh, I've seen this challenger come up. We're looking at camera and go, okay, man, this Sunday I'm going to bust your ass. It's not what we do.
No.
We do 3, 4, 5-minute movie scenes.
We make movies, pal. I've heard that line before, haven't we? By the way, did you guys see Vince's mustache? Jesus fucking Christ. We actually got a picture of the mustache now. Oh boy. Floating around from the Hall of Fame appearance. Dyed his hair jet black too. What was this man thinking? I digress. They're making movies, pal, and that's exactly what they're doing. All these backstage skits, the in-ring stuff. When I say Roman Reigns is in God mode, I did a segment, you know, I talk about that. I don't really cover wrestling on this show. You know, I cover wrestling podcasts and shoot interviews, YouTube channels, stuff going on outside the ring, shows. Very rarely, if ever, do I cover anything going on inside the ring. And I covered this promo, the first contact, the first interaction between Cody and Roman Reigns. And I was so impressed. As good as Cody is, and he always has been, or at least, you know, has been for a couple years now, Roman is truly in God mode. And it's this God mode, all the little fucking tiny, like, he is in pocket. Is what they say, or he is one with the Matrix. He's fucking Neo at this point. Every intricate, just the way he looks out of the corner of his eye at somebody, or fucking gets a little sneer on his face. He's fucking perfect right now. And when they did, and Heyman's always been fucking phenomenal, and the Usos are carrying their weight. Solo's carrying his weight, just looking like a mean, intimidating bastard. The stuff with Sammy, everything that they do backstage does play out like a fucking movie scene. They're like a mafia. It's like a fucking crime boss or something, you know, the inner fucking head of the table of the crime family, you know. They're really just doing phenomenal shit, and it always pushes the story forward. It keeps you guessing moment by moment, week to week, new twists and turns. Just the effort that they have put into this storyline, the level of detail, and Heyman's so confident about it too. This motherfucker can look at you and say, no, I'm not worried about what we have to come, because I know where we're going is even better. I know that story's going to be good too. They don't worry about having to outdo themselves. They know it's going to be there because they're at the top of their game. They are one with the Matrix. They're in the pocket. They're fucking God mode right now. The entire bloodline, but especially Roman, and especially Paul Heyman behind him. Heyman talks about after he left Brock Lesnar, he knew that whatever he did had to be bigger, had to be better. He had to take it up to the next level. He can't work with some little mid-card jobber after Brock. He had to be at the top of the card, and he knew that that was working with Roman Reigns. And he was working with Roman Reigns before he was even with Roman Reigns. When Roman was a babyface working with Brock. Who do you think was there helping put that together? Paul fucking Heyman. This whole thing has just been genius. I don't know that it's the best storyline of all time in the history of wrestling. Certainly of the modern era. I can't think of anything in the past 10 years that is comparable to it. You certainly, in the lifetime, you could put it on a Mount Rushmore, I think, honestly. Look, you got the fucking Mega Powers explode. That was a phenomenal storyline, right? I really liked Brett and Owen. I thought, you know, the brother versus brother told a really good, solid story. I know there's shit I'm forgetting. You know, Shawn Michaels and fucking Jericho told some great stories. Yeah, I mean, I can't sit here and just look over history and try to come up off the top of Vince and Steve Austin, obviously. I can't come up with all of them off the top of my head. There's been some bangers over the years, some fantastic stories told, but this one has to be right up there at the very top. One of the best ever told. It's the nuances. It's what's in between. It's the little tiny details that they're taking so much time. And you notice it. You notice it. You notice when Roman looks out of the corner of his eye, how fucking good is he at that? And the words that he chooses to use, the placement of the words, the way that he expresses the words. When he looked at Cody Rhodes and he's like, you know what your dad used to say about you? And he's smiling and stuff. Nothing. And he's like, and then followed, he's like, maybe with Seth or Becky or, you know, he probably said stuff about just, made my wrestling dick hard. It just phenomenal stuff. I think they're shooting on was it driving on all cylinders, shooting on all I don't know the fucking term. Doesn't matter. Whatever term you want to put in there, you can tell that this is the top of the top. And where they're going from here, they're going with Cody Rhodes. And Paul Heyman also addressed this story, building to WrestleMania, because it was feared once Sammy was starting to get over so much that this was going to be a repeat of when Bryan Danielson was, you know, should have won the Royal Rumble and not Batista, and the fans turned on Batista, and it was this big thing, and everybody's worried about the fans choosing Sammy. Are they going to turn on Cody? Paul Heyman didn't seem to sweat it at all because he knew where they were going. Check out this clip.
There were two things that we knew walking into this. One, we knew we did not have to manufacture anything. We knew the truth was the most compelling, riveting, gripping story we could tell all the way to WrestleMania. We knew it. Number two, here's what we didn't want. Hey, man, your father was a piece of crap. You know what? When I beat you, it's like pissing on your dad's grave. We weren't going to disrespect Dusty because we all love Dusty. And just me saying that, when Cody watches this, something inside him is going to go, you know how I can really hurt Cody Rhodes right now? I can tell him how much I loved his father. It hurts. It does. It can't but hurt. No matter how righteous of a man he is, no matter how good of a man he is, no matter how wonderful and altruistic of a man he is, it hurts. There's jealousy. There's envy. Cody grew up having to share his father with the world. That's tough enough as it is. Here's what's even tougher. He had to share a lot of that with people in the same industry that Cody's in. It's like, it's one thing if your spouse leaves you. It's another thing if your spouse leaves you for someone that you have to work with. So Cody not only had to go to work for so long going, oh, hey, that's Dusty's kid. Oh, you're the son of the... Let me do something for you just because how much I liked your... Man, do something for me because I earned it. Don't judge me by my father. Judge me by my own merits and criticize me for my own lackings, but not my lackings compared to my father, okay? That's one thing. But Cody has to sit here and he has to hear, this is what your dad shared with me. And either Cody says, well, I guess he didn't only share that with me. So I guess he looked at other kids like they were his kids and, man, I'm his biological son. Or number two, he has to sit there and say,
why didn't he share that with me?
He never told me
Exactly,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, this really is a good storyline, too. You know, they were able to seamlessly transition from Sami Zayn to Cody Rhodes, and they were really able to, you know, take that Sami Zayn story, part of the story, and keep it with the Usos to build that tag match, which, my God, this has been one of the most anticipated, most high-profile, most main event worthy tag team matches in WrestleMania history. When, if ever, has a tag team match been as important to WrestleMania since WrestleMania 1? It hasn't. It has not. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens did that. The Usos did that. This Bloodline storyline did that. It made tag team, not even tag team wrestling. It's not about the tag team wrestling or the tag team division. It's about this story. And the story made a tag team championship match a main event level storyline. So kudos to all involved with that and how they were able to seamlessly move that to be one night's main event, and then they were able to branch off Roman to continue the story to WrestleMania with Cody and not have the fans turn on Cody. It was brilliant the way that they worked that. And look, this story is fucking great because exactly like Paul Heyman said, it's real. It's real shit. You can't make it up. And you're not going out there and you're not being cheesy and you're not going, oh, you know, fuck Dusty, and you're playing off Cody's emotions by saying, no, we loved Dusty. And that alone fucks with Cody's head because Cody's got an ego and Cody is a jealous person. You can see he's talked about this before he even went to WWE, or at least on his way back to WWE when he was or maybe just after, you know, when he was maybe talking about Seth Rollins. This is something long before this Roman Reigns storyline. Cody Rhodes has talked about how it eats at him that Dusty had more time with and was closer to his NXT kids than he was Cody Rhodes. And these were Cody's peers. But because Cody was his son and Dusty didn't want to show him any favoritism or do him any disservice, he wanted him to earn it on his own, he was almost more hands off. And that hurts Cody. That stings Cody. And now they get to use that in a storyline. One of Dusty's kids is at the top of his game, and he's going up against a challenger that is actually Dusty's kid who did not get the same attention. You can't write that shit. It's such a good storyline. It's built in. It's right there. It's honest. It's fucking, it's just beautiful. You could not have booked a better story. And the way that they have executed this in their promos, in their interactions, has been perfect. Flawless again. And I really do chalk up most of this to Paul Heyman. I'm sure Cody contributes great ideas. I'm sure Sammy contributed great ideas. I'm sure Triple H did. I'm sure Roman and the Usos. Look, I get this is probably a giant team effort to put all this together. But I have to imagine that Paul, being so directly involved, being such a creative person for so long, is probably fine-tuning all the little details of this fucking thing and really just seeing it through. And you can just tell the storyline it's become, the Bloodline storyline is now branched off into two separate stories that are going to be two separate main events of WrestleMania. And it's a beautiful fucking thing. And I've ranted on this enough because I'm just saying the same thing over, of sucking the dick, this fucking storyline, because it's that good. And I highly recommend you go out of your way to listen to this full entire interview. I know there's lots of interviews out there. Everybody's promoting WrestleMania. The media has been nuts. So you got to pick and choose your content. And that's why I expect some of this might not even get seen by as many people. But regardless, go out of your way. I have linked it below in the description. Watch this full interview because anytime the wise man Paul Heyman has something to say, it's like sitting under the learning tree. It really is. As Logan Paul prepares for his big match against Seth freaking Rollins, he took the time to sit down with Ariel Helwani, who's been a busy guy himself this week, sitting down with a number of WWE superstars, doing the WrestleMania media interviews. And one of those people just so happened to be Logan Paul. And in this particular interview here, Logan was asked flat out about his contract status. We've all heard the rumors that he only signed for like 1 year or a certain amount of dates or matches with the WWE, and that this match with Seth freaking Rollins is the last match on his contract. So Ariel asks him flat out about his contract status and just being in the WWE and what it means to him. And I think you'll be surprised by the answer. Check out this clip.
This will conclude the 1 year in WWE, right? I know you did some stuff beforehand, but you debuted last WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Here you are. if we would have talked, in Arlington about what your expectations were for this upcoming year and this endeavor, like what were you trying to get out of this?
Wrestling?
Yeah.
Dude, I have no idea. I seriously don't know how I got thrown into this world and ended up really liking it. I think back at this rookie year, because it's about to end, and I'm pretty proud of my accomplishments thus far, in the sense of just making moments, like memorable moments. That's why I do it. I feel like I am in a unique position where I can create memories that last a lifetime for viewers, and that's significant. That feels cool. And I get to do it again this weekend while I turn 28. Like, I don't know, I always felt it was weird. I was born on April Fool's. Like, I'm a cosmic joke, literally. And then all of a sudden I take up this wrestling thing, and it feels like a calling. And WrestleMania, their Super Bowl, happens to be on my birthday. Like, it just feels like the stars just all aligned for this one thing involving me. I don't know, I'm honored and excited to do.
A popular podcast, Impulsive. You
Sure.
said that your deal is up.
Yeah.
If you're getting a new song, you're not going anywhere, right?
I don't know. My contract ends
It's done. When does it actually expire?
April 1st.
April 1st?
I was,
Really?
Yeah, I was contracted for a year to do 2 WrestleManias and I think five events.
Is there any chance this is it for you?
I feel like it's unlikely. I'm a good employee.
Okay, but as of right this moment, you don't have a deal past Saturday.
Correct.
Wow.
Yeah.
It hasn't been brought up?
It's been brought up.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's I don't have it.
Okay. You would like to continue though?
Of course,
Yes.
yeah.
Do you want something longer than a year, or do you like year to year?
So this was a topic my manager and I were talking about. My life moves so fast, and I don't know what my stock will be in a year, and so it seems a little irresponsible to sign anything longer than year-long contracts, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what's going to happen in a year. Last year at this time, I had no idea I was going to be a full-time or even like almost full-time wrestler,
Right.
as like a staple of my career, and now I am. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, let's be honest, brother. They're going to renew my contract.
I appreciate the honesty.
I mean, bro, like, come on.
Yeah, I know.
That'd be silly not to.
I was
but
wondering
at
if
this-
you wanted to renew it.
I do.
Okay.
I do. I think it's very good for me.
Dude loves it. He fucking loves it, and he is made for pro wrestling. He really fucking is. This guy, whether he's out there practicing his matches or not, going over his matches or not, he's able to go out there and perform at the highest of levels. You can barely see a hole in his game, man. His punches, his stomps, his physicality, his selling, his fucking the way he moves effortlessly, the way he makes it look real. He doesn't look like he's going through the fucking motions, painting by numbers. He doesn't look lost. He doesn't look confused. He doesn't look like he's pretending to sell. He looks like he's selling like a motherfucker. He doesn't look like he's pretending to hit somebody. Even at that, was it Crown Jewel or whatever, where Jake Paul showed up with him, and Jake did a thing where I think he punched one of the Usos. And, like, it looked like shit, right? Logan doesn't have that problem. Logan is a talented motherfucker. He is built for this. He's a pro wrestler. He's a goddamn pro wrestler. And he said it in this interview. He said as much. I finally found the one thing I was good at. Now, look, Logan's a successful YouTube guy. Logan's a successful internet personality. His Prime energy drink or whatever the fuck it is, his sports drink, is going through the roof right now. He's blowing the fuck up. He's a big deal. And he has been for a long time. But he's also kind of a fuck up, right? And maybe, not everything has gone right for him in the past. But him as a wrestler fits like a goddamn glove. And he's already said in this same interview, he says that he's starting to like being a heel now. It wasn't all that long ago that he was kind of butthurt that the fans were booing him. He fancied himself this big hero baby face. He wants to be liked, but he's starting to realize he's not a likable guy. So now he's got to go out there and he's going to play heel to Seth Rollins, and he's got to put on a fucking show at WrestleMania, and this will indeed be his last match under contract. But you heard him say it. yes, I want to re-sign. I would be an idiot not to re-sign. And he says, let's be real. They're gonna offer me another contract. They will. They would also be stupid to not re-sign Logan Paul. It has been a phenomenal success on all sides. They are getting press out of it. They are getting attention out of it. Logan could be doing more to promote WWE, but he does promote WWE, you know, and he'll probably have a couple of the wrestlers on his podcast, probably after WrestleMania, I would imagine. He did last year, and he did, I think, around SummerSlam too, so I imagine he will re-sign. It'll probably be another year deal. He mentioned that, you know, it doesn't make sense to sign anything longer than that because his career is so it's evolving constantly that who knows where he'll be in a year, let alone 2, 3, 5 years, you know, so you can't really do that. But he loves this shit. He loves it. They have to love having him. He's said that he feels pretty well liked and accepted backstage, and I think that's true. You know, he's had all the respect in the world for this. I know a lot of people still want to hate on Logan Paul, and a lot of people do. That's why he's a heel. People don't like the guy. And I know a lot of people think, you know, they're still salty at the outsider celebrities coming in, think they can do this shit. Nobody's done it better than Logan Paul. Nobody's looked more legit than Logan Paul. Nobody's put more into it than Logan Paul. Not even a Bad Bunny, not even a Johnny Knoxville, not even a fucking Mike Tyson. Anybody, name your fucking celebrity who's had an impact. Maybe a fucking Andy Kaufman, the Hall of Famer Andy Kaufman, right? But beyond that, name a celebrity that's done more, put more effort. Mr. T, has Mr. T done more for maybe Cyndi Lauper? Maybe they've done more for the business financially. Tyson certainly did. But what kind of effort did they put into being a part of it, you know? Logan is seamless. He is a pro wrestler. You don't look at him in the ring when you watch a Logan Paul match. You don't, and you'll probably be listening to this after Logan's already had his match with Seth Rollins. I'm recording it Saturday. Will go up Sunday, so you will have already seen that match, and I will probably guarantee that you will see that Logan looks like a fucking pro wrestler. Physically in the ring, his gear in the ring. Like I said, he doesn't get lost. He doesn't stumble. He doesn't fucking paint by numbers. He's physical. He sells like a champ. He's so good. He's so good at this. They need to re-sign him. If I was WWE, I'm re-signing him. I'm signing him for more money. Not a lot more, because he's only doing... I don't think that much needs to change. You know, it's probably more like you're ready to re-up. We'll give you a little bit of a bonus because you did do so good this year. You know, that incentive to re-sign, but it's not like you got to double it or anything like that. You know, I think, you know, pay him what he's making and just say, hey, man, you want to keep this going? Let's do it for another year. Let's get you another 2 WrestleMania. You know, next year's WrestleMania will be the end of this contract. And we'll sneak you into a few high-profile matches and some Raw or SmackDown appearances in between. And it's just beautiful. It's a beautiful relationship. And Logan has said as much, too. WWE has been very easy to work with for him, working around all of his other shit. And this is a Nick Khan influence, probably a Triple H to an extent, too. I think Triple H gets it, understands what it's like working with these outside people, that they have the other shit going on. But I think Nick Khan especially understands that, you know, where Vince might not, you know, what's a YouTuber? God damn it, just fucking do this wrestling shit. Prime. I gotta drink Prime. Vince wouldn't get it as much as I think like the current regime does. So it's easy to work with. It's an easy schedule. Work around everything that he's doing. Co-promotions. This is fucking beautiful. So I do expect this to keep going. We have not seen the last of Logan Paul, but even if we have, goddamn, what a year. But he wants to re-sign. I'm sure WWE wants to re-sign him. So it's only a matter of time before we see Logan Paul back in a WWE ring. Adrenaline in my soul. Ariel Helwani is putting in some work this weekend for WrestleMania, doing all kinds of WWE interviews, as he also had the man, Cody Rhodes, the American Nightmare, the challenger, this Sunday night in the main event of WrestleMania for the undisputed WWE Championship. Let that sink the fuck in. Let's not let that just fucking slide past us. Cody Rhodes, Stardust, the grandson of a plumber, the guy that started fucking AEW, Bullet Club Cody Rhodes, the AEW American Nightmare, went through the flaming table, the fucking Nightmare Factory, all that shit. Brandy, fucking Brandy's husband. Brandy's husband is main eventing WrestleMania. It's huge. It really is for those who have followed Cody Rhodes' career. The storybook return to WWE. It could not have been written better. Cody likes to say, I didn't know that this was the plan. I was just given an opportunity. All I knew coming in was that I was going to face Seth Rollins, and then we would go from there. Maybe that's true, but you have to think that whoever's in charge of this bitch, whether they pitched it to Cody or not, because plans change, bringing Cody in, this is the story you tell. This is that story. It has to be. It's just so perfect. It's a storybook ending. Cody has to win. He has to fucking win. There's zero doubt about it. If he loses, I think Jim Cornette, was it Jim Cornette that was talking about it? No, it was Mick Foley. Foley and Conrad Cornette. Foley and Conrad were talking about that. This could be a Lex Luger moment. Lex Luger at SummerSlam where he didn't win the title from Yokozuna. Like when you hype somebody up, the Lex Express. God damn it. You hype somebody up so much, you tell the right story, and then you fucking botch the finish. That could kill Cody's career. So Cody needs to win this. He absolutely has to, and I'm excited for him that he's going into this main event. And that's a lot of what this conversation was about. Just talking about the moment going into WrestleMania. What are your thoughts? How do you feel? Bloodline storyline, your return, all of this stuff. I think there was a nice little gem in there about Cody Rhodes not liking Seth Rollins for real. He said, I want to punch that guy in the face. He could be kayfabing, but he just says, they never really did get along, but they can work together. But it was in this particular clip that really doesn't have anything to do with WrestleMania. That's why I wanted to get that part of it, the rant, out of the way, because it's not going to make sense after the clip, is that Cody Rhodes was asked by Ariel. He's like, look, man, and this is something I've wondered too, so this is why I picked this clip out. He says, look, dude, you've got a lot of friends still over in AEW, and you've had such a successful run since you came back to the WWE. Has anybody reached out to you and said, bro, can you get me in? What's it like over there? Clue me in, fill me in. Should I jump? Should I not? Can you get me there? Can you put me in contact with Pritchard or Triple H? And this is what Cody Rhodes had to say about it. Check out this clip.
You still have a lot of friends there. I'm wondering if any of them check in on you and say, so what's it like on the other side of the fence? Do you feel like you're fielding a lot of those questions? Maybe not now, but early on?
I kind of am generic with the advice I give, if that makes any sense. I don't get specific with anybody. No one has reached out flat out and said, how can I get there and what do I need to do? Most of it's been, hey, this is great, but can you still watch my promo from Dark and tell me if it was any good? Most of it's that stuff, which is, oh, sure, great, I can help with that. But thankfully, I haven't been put in that situation where somebody flat out says, hey, can you get me a conversation or can you get me in this room? Because I'd have to say no. That's just too morally of an icky area for me. I'd have to deflect, send them somewhere else, just because they're going to find their own way here, or there, or elsewhere, on their own and on their own talent.
I would like to hope that that's true, that Cody sees a giant conflict of interest there. That's a giant moral gray area to have built the competition, essentially, and then to start recruiting talent from said competition to come back over to WWE. That's not Cody's place. It's not his role. That's not something he should do, and that's not why he started AEW. And yes, Tony started it and the Young Bucks. There was more there, but Cody was there ground floor right from the very beginning. So you can't say that he was not a giant part of that. He was the face of AEW publicly for the first year at least. He didn't start another wrestling company to change the industry so that he could destroy the other wrestling company in favor of WWE. What was the point? The boys need other places to work. They need other shit. They need to be able to negotiate. When Cody's contract comes up with WWE, he needs to be able to say, hey, man, they want me to come back home over to AEW. They're offering a lot of money. I've already done the WrestleMania main event. I've already been world champion. I don't know what else there is to do here. Am I going to be spending time putting everybody else over? Maybe I can go back there and have a run on top over there now as their champion because I'm not an EVP anymore. Maybe I have more goals to accomplish over there. He does. He really does. If AEW can stay as the number 2 brand, Cody would be far better going back to AEW and main eventing, having a run as the AEW champion instead of jobbing to guys that are on their way up. Now he's doing jobs to Austin Theory on 3 pay-per-views in a row or something. And he's, they're trying to push Cody back down the card after he's been a main eventer and use his fame to build other talents, which is the natural progression. But having that other brand there allows you to fucking stay relevant, keep moving, make more money, play companies off of each other, gives people more places to work. It's a net positive. And Cody didn't spend all that time making that happen, to helping make that happen, to just bury it. So no, I don't think that he is actively recruiting guys from the other side or even giving them any kind of, step in the right direction or anything like that. I'd like to think that he is basically saying, hey, you guys can find your own path here and figure it out for yourselves. I don't want to give you advice in that area. Certainly with what they've done with Cody Rhodes makes it enticing, hey, come over to WWE. You can be the main event of WrestleMania within 2 years. No, that's not going to be the case for everybody. Certainly a Jungle Boy jumping ship, Wardlow jumping ship probably ain't going to get that far that quick. But they do make it look pretty, don't they? And MJF easily could find himself in a WrestleMania main event within 2 years if he's as good as he thinks that he is, which he is. He really is. There's a lot of top talent from AEW too that are in a position where they could be making that leap soon. The Young Bucks are within a year of leaving AEW, possibly being able to. Kenny Omega is within a year. MJF's within a year. We already heard Jon Moxley was wrestling without a contract and wasn't sure he wanted to re-sign at some point. We heard that earlier on in the show. Who knows if Punk's coming back? Lots of talent could just fucking up and leave out of nowhere. And then what? Wardlow, Ricky Starks, Will Hobbs. I'd be trying to purge all of these guys if I was WWE. Every last one of them. And you could really put AEW back down to a fucking like an Impact Wrestling level company because they had all their talent purged away from them. That's the one thing that they got that Tony Khan can play ball with is the big money contracts. And he's going to need to throw some around if he wants to keep these top stars. Because WWE is making it look tempting with how well they have booked and used Cody Rhodes. And Cody, look, man, he's going to main event WrestleMania, and he's probably going to win the world title. And he's probably going to bring the classic Winged Eagle Championship back. And my God, do I hope he does. How fucking great will that be? But he's doing it, man. He's doing everything that he thought he could do. And he's had an incredible run, and that certainly does make it tempting for your MJFs and your Wardlows and all your other top AEW talent that your Young Bucks, your Kenny Omegas. Bring them all on over. Let's steal them all and fucking make stars out of them all. Very well could be the case. Time will tell we're going to see it happen both ways. Tony's got money to play with, and he's got national TV. So don't think that he's going to just sit back and be cucked by WWE's paychecks. My boss has more money than your boss. Chris Jericho always says. It's true. It's true. He's got the money to play with and throw around. So let's see if he can keep some of these guys or even draw other talents away from WWE. That would be interesting. Seth Rollins is who I'd want to. He would be my prime number one when his contract comes up. Throw fucking stupid money at Seth Rollins, because Rollins, as he said, is never going to be the guy in WWE. He's always going to be number 2 to Roman Reigns, and now he might even be number 3 with Cody Rhodes above him. And look at all the jobs Seth did to put Cody over. Steal Seth Rollins. Make him the top guy in your company. You already got Moxley over there, so it's not like he's going to be with unfriendly people. That's one of his best friends still. Let's do it. Who knows? There's going to be a lot of jumping shit back and forth. But has Cody put in a good word for anybody? Has Cody made any connections? We'll never know. We really won't. But like I said, I'd like to think that he's telling the truth here. Great little interview with Ariel Helwani. As always, I've always fucking jerked off Ariel Helwani on this show so many times. He's just that fucking good of an interviewer. There's a big difference. Cody did like a bunch of interviews too, man. He was doing more media than anybody from what I can tell. He was on the Rich Eisen show earlier in the week, and I had a clip from that, and then I replaced it with this just to not make this the Cody Rhodes podcast. But Rich Eisen's was not anywhere near the quality of an interviewer that Ariel Helwani is. And then Paul Heyman did that one with Ryan Satin that we did in a previous clip if you're watching the full show. If not, go ahead and check that one out. But Ryan Satin was not as good of an interviewer. I noticed it. He was asking a lot of kind of stupid questions. I think I could do a better job interviewing people than Ryan Satin can. And that's not a shot at him. Look at him. He's doing great for himself. But he's not a great interviewer. Ariel Helwani is. He's the fucking man. Link in the description below if you want to watch this full interview. And I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next. Adrenaline in my soul. I had the opportunity to watch AEW's All Access reality show this week. If you have not watched this show, before I go ahead and get into my review, if you're not entirely sure, obviously it's a reality show, but is it WWE 24/7 or is it Total Divas or is it a mix of the two? Watch the trailer for it and we'll catch you on the flip side.
AEW is constantly evolving, constantly moving forward, and now we're taking it to the next level.
This March, for the first time in pro wrestling, the cameras will go where they were never allowed before.
It'll be a great main event, a great show.
There's so many storylines on hold right now because she's the champion.
We have not seen Adam Cole in months.
What happens if he does get another concussion?
The hardest thing is seriously that fear of never wrestling again.
We're a big family here, and sometimes families fight.
You disgusting pig. Thank you, Bob.
We've had bad blood in the past. It was an accident. If it happens again, we're gonna have a problem.
I was never good at playing backstage politics or any of that crap. We always did good at wrestling, and that's what we gotta do.
AEW All Access. New series March 29th on TBS.
It's a mix of the two. This is WWE 24/7 mixed with Total Divas. You are following the lives of these people, but you're seeing a lot of backstage stuff too. I really, really, really like this show. I like the backstage stuff. I tell people often that the backstage part of pro wrestling is far more interesting than anything that happens on TV. And granted, we got the Bloodline storyline going, so that's debatable now. But in general, over the years, the behind the scenes shit, right? Look at AEW. They haven't had shit for storylines, but everybody's fucking hooked on the Brawl Out storyline that they've been running, right? Ever since All Out this past summer, they've been having that storyline of Brawl Out, except it's not happening on their TV. It's happening in the dirt sheets and online and on the forums and in shoot interviews and podcasts and all that shit. It's getting out. They skirted around it on this episode. They address it without addressing it. The Young Bucks are a featured part of this show, and it picks up with their return, where they're driving to the show, and they're all like, "Ooh, we haven't been in the building for 2 months. Have we lost it? Do we even want to go back? We got the ring rust. We miss it so much. How are people going to react?" They're trying to build that drama. They're following Adam Cole and his concussion right now, with Britt Baker kind of being the fucking, the wife, the partner, the supportive. They're not married, but you get what I'm saying. The supportive partner there for him at the doctor's appointments and all that. And Cole getting the bad news that he's not going to be cleared to return. And there's lots of other stuff too. You see Britt Baker kind of sitting around having a fucking chatty Cathy knitting circle with Jamie Hayter and Tony Storm and Saraya, talking shit about Thunder Rosa. Like, fuck her for not coming. She can do all these media appearances, but she can't come and show up at the building. And she, we got to call Tony Storm the interim champion. That's bullshit, which is true, by the way. All true. And but you get to see it behind the scenes like that. You follow Sammy and Ty Conti, and they talk about how Ty was set up to have this big babyface run, because people already forget, because they hate her so goddamn much, that people used to love Ty Conti. When she, people liked her when they seen her in NXT, but especially when she got her opportunity in AEW to really run with herself and show what she could do. And she was having kick-ass matches, and she's not the best wrestler in the world as a female, not by a long shot, but she's got the martial arts background, and she's more talented than not. And apparently, they were gearing up to give her a nice little babyface push, and then the public turned against her over the whole Sammy Guevara thing. And they really did, too, because Sammy's vlog, I used to watch Sammy's vlog all the time. I used to love that shit. He had the vlog crew. He had, like, fucking Fuego del Sol, and had the fucking Griff Garrison and a couple other guys, and I think they're still on there. But I don't watch it anymore, because as soon as he started dating Ty, fucking Ty was on the show, and she killed the show. So I get where the heat comes from that. But this All Access show, man, look, some of you are not going to like the backstage stuff, and that's fine. You don't have to. I'm not saying, oh, you're missing out if you. Some people just don't care about that. And it is reality show-esque, and there is drama to it, but it's not stupid Total Divas stuff. It's not, oh, I'm going to get my hair done today, and Brian thinks that I should blah, 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 and John's being so blah with his rules, and we're stupid bitches, and we're so glamorous in our photo shoots. It's not that. It is following these people, on their journey, like 24/7 did in a way. Here's the storyline we're picking for this season. Here's the characters we're following. And you get to see a lot of peripheral stuff and behind the scenes backstage stuff. MJF makes an appearance on the show, and fucking Eddie Kingston makes an appearance on the show. So Tony Khan's in the mix here and there. So you're seeing a lot of the behind the scenes stuff, and getting to see a lot of characters that aren't even on the show, but they're just there because it's behind the scenes. Saraya, I like it. I like it a lot, but again, I like the behind. I'll sit and watch Total Divas. I don't love Total Divas because there's a lot of bitchy drama bullshit too, and your fancy photo shoots and your nail and your hair dids and stupid stuff. This does not have stupid stuff. This is not stupid shit. This is Adam Cole's fucking brain injury and why the fans are turning against Ty and Sammy, and they're just trying to find their path and get their footing again now as a heel act. And this is the Young Bucks returning and trying to recover from the brawl out situation and trying to just move forward without letting it affect them. There's great stories being told here. This is great TV. It really is. This is a good idea for a show. I support it 100%. I think it's well done. I think it's a hit. I think give it a fucking chance. If you're hearing my voice and you're on the fence about it, and it sounds like something you could possibly be interested in, watch it. Give it a chance. Give it the old college try. Maybe you still don't like it. Maybe it is still a little too reality TV for you. It's not 100% 24/7 behind the scenes stuff. There is an element of reality show. I'm Britt Baker, and in real life, yes, I'm a real dentist too. And so they do some of that. But it's fun. It's a fun show. I like it. I'm going to keep watching it. Let me know your thoughts, though. I'm interested. Do you hate this kind of shit in general, or do you like it? Obviously, Total Divas, for better or for worse, had a huge influence. And there's a lot of people who are aware of wrestling or aware of wrestlers that just never even watched wrestling because of that show. So I think the hope here is to attract more people, or at least keep the AEW audience around for another hour after, which is smart. And I have very quickly before I go here, I have already mentioned that the chick that's in charge of programming for TBS likes AEW, and that's why Slap Fight was on after it for a little bit. I don't know, is that even on anymore? Or is that on after AEW? I don't know, because now this show's on after AEW. But she wanted to try to find content to build around it. So this new show, it's a keeper. It's a keeper. I hope it gets the ratings that it deserves, because in my mind, it's a keeper. It's a smart move to do, and it should keep a large chunk of the Dynamite viewing audience. And if you're one of them and you're on the fence, give it a try. Or let me know your thoughts down in the comments below if you don't like it. Well, I talked about earlier on the episode, if you're watching the full show, if not, it is on a separate clip that I will link to this, but I did talk about that I think at this point, CM Punk probably should not return to AEW. If Moxley, Jericho, the Young Bucks, and Kenny Omega, and God knows how many other people don't want him there, then he probably shouldn't be there, because you don't want to alienate and push out your whole entire locker room that would otherwise enjoy being there for one fucking guy. But I'm not that's just my opinion. But apparently Jim Ross, for example, is one guy who thinks maybe Punk should come back. People are back and forth on it. We talked about Mark Henry a couple weeks ago, and then Bubba Dudley and Tommy Dreamer all said that Punk should come back. So here's Jim Ross. Add him to the list on why he thinks Punk should come back. Check out this clip.
Of course, the whole question is going to surround, will CM Punk ever be back? I'm one of those guys that believe he will be back. And we'll see. I mean, I think AEW needs CM Punk because of his star power, and he brings with controversy creates cash, and he's certainly controversial. And I'm a big fan of Phil's, so we'll see how it works out. I'm optimistic and positive.
Good old JR is a smart guy, and you have to take his opinion into consideration. He's been around a long time. He has worked in talent relations. He's managed talents. He's heard their stupid little gripes. He's had to sit and talk on the phone with fucking Buff Bagwell's mom while she's sitting up on a pole complaining to JR about the booking of her son. So JR knows a thing or two about managing a locker room, managing egos and personalities, butthurt people. He gets the whole picture. He's not just a fucking commentator guy drinking his fucking barbecue sauce, going, sassafras, CM Punk, he's a big star, okay? Needs to be on the show. He's got more, he's got an educated opinion on this. I'm so back and forth on this. I think just because you got 5 nameable top stars, main event stars, that are not wanting CM Punk back in the locker room by all appearances here. Mox didn't outright say I don't want him back, but I'm sure he could do without him, it sounds like. And there's probably plenty of others. So, Britt Baker sounded like one, too, that was kind of like, So, at this point, what do you do? But a guy like Jim Ross thinks that there's still value there. There's certainly money to be made there. You got a built-in feud with the Elite, which is a number of matches and tag team and 6-man tags and one-on-one matches. Punk versus Matt, Punk versus Nick, Punk and FTR versus Matt, Nick, and Kenny, Punk versus Kenny. There's so many combinations of these matches that can happen. There's money to be made on all of those. Ratings, you tell a good storyline. Punk, Hangman, there's a built-in match there if Hangman can fucking play ball with them. And then you can go, Punk and Moxley even. And you can go Punk and fucking Punk and MJF, though MJF hasn't had anything to do with this brawl-out stuff. There's a built-in feud there because Punk beat MJF last they left off. So now Punk can come back and if he gets a couple wins under his belt, can go, hey, Max, remember last time I was here, I beat you. So now I'm coming for your belt again. They can do that. There's plenty of money to make with Punk. And I know a lot of people think that there isn't, that they think Punk is kind of, overrated or past his prime or, and all that may be true. And in fact, here's another, Eric Bischoff had something to say about it on his show this week, 83 Weeks. While we're on the subject, let's go ahead and include that clip. Check out this clip.
A lot of discussion this week about CM Punk. There was a message board post from Mr. Dave Meltzer where he talked about what the plans were and how maybe they changed. And he dropped more knowledge in that observer board post than he did even in his newsletter about all this. And as the story goes, Mr. Punk went to Instagram and told his story on a story and then quickly deleted it. But basically said that Moxley refused to lose to him and Jericho was a stooge and really, quote unquote, spilling the tea. And now there's become this big debate. Will CM Punk ever return? Is there a path to making it work? It seems as if he's interested in that. He posted he had been reading Steve Kern's new book. And there was a story in there where two guys got into it for real and Lawler drug them into the office and made them squash it the next day. Punk told that story and wrote, fascinating. So clearly, he likes the idea of getting his jersey back. Would you give him his jersey back?
No.
Really?
No. Well, let me see how I am. I can't help myself here. No, I wouldn't. Right away. You barely finished asking the question, and I answered it so definitively and abruptly. So let me just rewind that. I don't know, man. I don't know the cat. I've been pretty hard on CM Punk. I don't think I've been hard on him all. I've been honest about my opinion of him. Don't have much respect for him. I think he's overrated. But he's done a great job of keeping his brand hot, right? He's staying alive. People are talking about him. Will he, won't he? Will Tony, won't Tony? Is he coming back? Is he maybe going back to WWE? He's keeping himself, at a real high temperature, even though he's not doing anything. And hats off to him for that. That's a valuable thing to be able to do. But is it worth it? Is it worth it? We know what we're going to get. We know what you're going to get out of CM Punk. And we've seen a lot of it. Is it? I wouldn't bring him back. I don't think the risk is worth the reward. We've seen the best of CM Punk. You've gotten the most you're going to get out of CM Punk. CM Punk isn't going to grow as a more valuable asset as time goes on. If anything, it's diminishing returns.
So he's one who says, yeah, what are you going to get out of it? It's the law of diminishing returns. I don't think so. Not right away. Because there's so many feuds and directions you can go with him at this point. All of which can make you money. He's not the face of your company. I wouldn't put the belt back on him again. I wouldn't put him on the front of your poster, on the front of your video game. I wouldn't put him in the lead. I wouldn't put him in that spot again. Now at this point, he needs to just have rivalry feuds. And he can challenge for the title if it's against Max. But you make your money with him against the Bucks if they're willing to play ball, and Kenny if he's willing to play ball, and Hangman if he's willing to play ball. And then MJF, if he's willing to play ball. After that, you've probably easily gotten a year out of Punk, if not even 2 years. And then at that point, maybe it's run its course at that point. Maybe he does start doing jobs and he'd be putting all these guys over in the process anyway, but you get what I'm saying. Maybe you start working them down the card after that. Maybe there's other storylines to tell, other feuds to have. You can make money with Punk. You can't make him and Jericho. If you can build off some of this stuff. Even Cornette's, or Brian Last on Cornette's podcast has joked about this, that Jericho will probably be the first guy in line trying to work with Punk. Hey, man, I called you a cancer online. Let's make some money off of this shit. Yeah, probably. Why not? This is, after all, the wrestling business. And if there's money to be made and feuds to be had, look, it's happened over the years. Edge and Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy's home injured, and fucking his girlfriend, Lita, is just banging the shit out of Edge behind his back on the fucking road. Getting it in. They built it into a storyline. They talked about it on TV. It got Matt fired because he was so outraged and hurt and offended. He flew off the handle. He went nuts. And look, we all do in those situations, right? You might have been the same exact guy. Right? You go crazy in those situations. You want to kill. You see blood. I'm going to fucking kill you, Edge. I'll go scorched earth. I'll burn this whole company down to get to you. They work together. Guys can work together with heat. They really, really can. They can make money. I think I had said before that you don't risk alienating your locker room, and that might still be the case. But I think also a deciding factor in this is, are all said parties willing to work together to make money? If the Elite and FTR and Punk are willing to do this shit, if Hangman's willing to do this shit, MJF's willing to do this, there you go. You got a year to 2 years of feuds built right in. Boom. Fluff it out with a couple fucking dynamite matches. Maybe Punk's out there working Lee Moriarty again. Who knows? If Punk's willing to work with everybody and they're willing to work with Punk, do it. Maybe. Do it. If you think you can control the personalities and it's not going to tear your locker room apart and drive people away, do it. But if Punk's going to come in and he's going to make everybody else want to get out of your locker room or not happy to be there anymore or walk on fucking eggshells now, and Punk's not going to want to work with anybody. He's going to want to hide in his own bubble and only work with the people he's cool with. Or if the Bucks and the Elite, I should also say, because they have a reputation for this, wanting to work in their own little bubble and stay away from people they don't want to work with, then maybe Punk doesn't need to come back, because what's the point at that point? You're going to bring him back to work with fucking Ricky Starks? I don't know. At that point, yeah, he's probably better off done. But if you can bring him back in and have those kind of feuds, those kind of runs, make that kind of money potential, at least if it's done right with it's AEW, so who knows? Might be worth a try, but it'll be very interesting. I continue to be fascinated by the story and other people's opinions on it because it's so nuanced. It's back and forth. Again, leave your thoughts down in the comments below, and I'll go ahead and add, if you're just watching this as a clip, I'll put that Punk Mox clip if you haven't watched that one where I kind of talk through the other side of this, that Punk maybe shouldn't come back. I'm talking out both sides of my fucking mouth on the same show is what I'm doing. So I'll put that side, that perspective, as an end video clip fucking thingy to recommend for the next one to watch. Check that out, but I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next. Normally this show is about podcasts and YouTube shows and interviews and that kind of thing. But I wanted to take some time to give my thoughts on the Hall of Fame and didn't want to do it necessarily a whole separate video for just the Hall of Fame. So just kind of tacking it on to the end of my full podcast here, or up as a separate clip, if you are just watching that. But I did want to give my thoughts on the Hall of Fame because I was actually very impressed with this year's Hall of Fame. So I'll just kind of go through the broad strokes here. Starting with Stacy Keibler. Look, I kind of balked scoffed, if you will, at to use a CM Punk word, at Stacy Keibler getting inducted into the Hall of Fame, because it was like, fucking brawn panties diva, Hall of Famer, really. Did the same thing when Tori Wilson got inducted. That one, I kind of put them in the same category, right? And Tori Wilson really was that kind of, what are you fucking doing? That's a weird choice. But when I watched this, it was surprising to me, and because I'm such a wrestling fan and I knew all this stuff, I guess it just hadn't occurred to me, or wasn't on the tip of my mind, just how much of a difference Stacy Keibler really did make and how important she was in her era. First of all, I didn't know that she was a wrestling fan. I thought she was just a model or a dancer that got picked up. They showed her. It almost made me have more respect for her too, where she showed that picture of her in the crowd holding up a sign for Bret Hart, just being a fucking fan, being a mark. You're a mark when you show up with a sign in the crowd, especially for Bret Hart. You know what I mean? So she showed she was a fan. So that's why she jumped at the chance to be a Nitro girl when that opportunity came up. So we're talking a pro cheerleader, what was it, the Baltimore Ravens, to fucking Nitro girl, to already working her way up to being like a personality, Miss Hancock. And this was in the Vince Russo era, so that was stupid. But it showed that she had chops for this shit. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say she was great in the ring. She wasn't, but as a personality, as a character, and how different she was too, because she's widely considered one of the most gorgeous divas, quote unquote, women's talents of all time in WWE. And she is not the fucking big titted Barbie doll. She's a different shape. She's a big different style. She never got the boobs. Mick Foley talks about that. He was adamant to tell her he had a friendship with her. That's why he co-inducted her into the Hall of Fame, because Mick Foley had a relationship with her, not like a relationship, but he was friends with her, and he was one of the people that advised her not to get a boob job, and she said she never would, and she didn't, and she stood out for it. And I just, watching this, I gave her more credit. I really thought that she kind of does deserve this. Is she a Sherry Martel level women's talent? No. But for her era, the Divas era, the early 2000s, I think you're hard pressed to find many more women of that caliber. You got a Mickey and you got a Trish, and Stacy Keibler's right up there. So I was okay with it, and it was nice to see her get inducted, and she was sweet, still gorgeous. She deserves it. She really does. The great Muda. What a fucking wow, dude. Ric Flair's speech, good for Rick. He gave a good little speech to induct him. Muda came out, kept it short and sweet, probably saved the show some time, which I'm sure Hunter appreciated, because Rick probably went long. But Muda didn't have to say much. He's a mysterious guy as is. He looked great. He came out. It looks like he's moving like shit, though. He's probably a broken ass old man. Though he's, some of it's a little bit of a character walk too. He's shifty and he's mysterious and he's unorthodox and off balance, off kilter. So there's some fun stuff there with him. His mask looked phenomenal. And then doing the green mist at the end and fucking seeing Asuka pop for that. And they acknowledged the mist, the use, and man, it was just, I really like the Great Muta as a character. It was just a nice little induction there. Good to see him get honored. Tim White got the Warrior Award. To be honest with you, that was my bathroom break, my snack time, if you will. I heard a little bit of the APA's speech, and then once it got to fucking, kind of kept popping back and forth, in and out on that. But once Tim White's fucking family was up there, it was like, who cares? Shit, who else got inducted? I know I'm forgetting people here. Andy Kaufman got in. My God, I feel like they could have did more with Andy Kaufman's induction. Would have been nice to see Jerry there, but it was nice that Jerry did the video anyway. And it was a very well-produced video. Look at this fucking guy with his throne and his fucking knights. How dope is that? That was sick. And the jacket, the production value, he showed his jacket and then he turned around. And he looked a little off. He is still recovering, but he was mostly all there. Didn't look as sharp as he normally does, and that's sad. But, he's up there in age, and this is his second stroke and a couple heart attacks. And fuck, man, Jerry's kicked out at 2.5 quite a few times here. So he's putting on a fucking epic 5-star clinic of a life right now. So no blame there. It just would have been nice if he was there. Jimmy Hart's not a bad guy to go out there and physically be there, though, because Jimmy Hart worked with Andy not as famously, but easily just as much, if not more, than Jerry Lawler did. He had a whole separate fucking storyline with Andy Kaufman. I think they even had a match. They wrestled each other. Kaufman wrestled Jimmy Hart. So it was good to see the mouth of the South out there. He was a good representation. And Andy Kaufman, my God, does he deserve it. And it was really cool to see that his family had said, somebody in his family said, like, this would have been so important to him. Like, he really would have appreciated this. It wouldn't have been like, oh, yeah, thanks. It was a cool little thing I did. Like, wrestling was almost his first love. And this would have really meant the world to him. And he was there. If you believe in spirituality and afterlife and that the soul lives on, then you know that certainly Andy Kaufman was right there. His whole family was there. His kids and wife or something, brother, said, who knows who the fuck those people were. But they were there. Kaufman had to have been there. He had to. So, fuck that. It was great and so well deserved and way overdue. I can't think of a more appropriate celebrity induction than an Andy Kaufman. And I don't even know if it should be a celebrity induction. The guy, what he did for the wrestling business. Some celebrities have had a monumental impact. We talked about this earlier with Logan Paul in a different clip and how he's making an impact in the ring as a performer. He looks and works just like any other wrestler. But a guy like an Andy Kaufman, Mike Tyson, Cyndi Lauper, fucking Mr. T, these guys changed the fucking business for professional wrestling in their own ways. And it's just great to see him get that nod. And then finally we get to the main event. Rey Mysterio inducted by Conan. Conan's fucking he's probably the reason I wanted to do this little clip here and talk about the Hall of Fame, because my God, was Conan fucking great, wasn't he? What an induction speech, dude. If there was a Hall of Fame for induction speeches to the Hall of Fame, Conan, I mean, fuck. If WWE was smart, they would use more Conan. AEW should use more Conan. Conan needs to be used more on TV. Why not? Why not? Bring Conan in to fucking work with Dominic and get Dominic over. Do an angle where he gets fucking beat up backstage or something. I don't know. He was so good. He owned the fucking room. He told the story like a storyteller. He painted this beautiful picture. He set it up so perfectly. He's fucking out there with his Olale, Arriba La Raza, and fucking, did his fucking For Life and all that shit. And just, fucking boom, dude. Conan, that was a 5-star Hall of Fame induction. It really, really was. And then you get Rey Mysterio. And when he came out and the way that fucking Rhea, which by the way was sitting with Buddy Matthews, and there's pictures out there floating around about that shit. That's funny. Fucking Buddy Matthews kind of simping a little bit. He seems like a kind of a douchebag, right? Like, didn't he fucking snap at Dom on Twitter or something about that? Like, she's got a real poppy at home. Fuck off, dude. Or don't be a douchebag. You think Rhea's gonna leave you for Dominic? If she does, that says something about you, not her or Dominic. But I digress. But the way that they played that, and then Dominic got up and walked out, That was good. The build in the storyline to this. But Ray looked high as balls. We all know Ray is a fucking weed head. If you didn't, he is. He's a fucking smoker, a heavy smoker. And he looked high as balls. And he was out there just having a good old time. It was great. It was a phenomenal little Hall of Fame induction. Good main event Hall of Fame induction. Props to Conan. Props to Rey Mysterio. I think every inductee this year was worthy in their own right for their own reasons. And, it was short and it was sweet. And I thought everybody did good speeches, good inductions, good moments. The mist, you're going to put that on the highlight reel. I guarantee over the next several years when they're showing the Hall of Fame, their little fucking entrance thing, and at the beginning they're going to have the Muda going, blowing the mist. That's a Hall of Fame moment. You know what I mean? Fucking Conan should get more work out of this. I don't see why he wouldn't. Because he proved he can talk. We all knew Conan could talk. He used to hold court. I saw some Facebook comments that were like, "Oh, I'm not familiar with Conan other than his time in Impact." I saw. It's like this person never even was aware of Conan, and not to mention Conan was basically the Hulk Hogan of Mexico through the late 80s and into the 90s, early 90s, and then the transition in the late 90s with the NWO, and he was front and center in the NWO. He wasn't just like, oh, he's NWO fucking. Remember there was the guys that came out to the NWO jobber music. That was like your Horace Hogans, your Vincents, your fucking Masahiro Chonos. That wasn't Conan. Conan was front and center. He was Wolfpack. Olale. Arriba la raza. Let me speak on this. He always had the fucking mic. He's a good talker. He's a good personality. He always has been. He should be in the fucking Hall of Fame. Honestly, Conan's fucking great. And he showed just how goddamn sharp he was here. Give him more work. Give Conan more work. Give this motherfucker a job. He should fucking walk Rey Mysterio out to the ring at WrestleMania and be his fucking manager in this feud against Dom, and then get beat up by Dom on Raw or something to get Dom more heat. I don't know. Use Conan. That's all I'm saying. But I love the Hall of Fame. I thought it was a good little watch. Proud of everybody that's in there. But what are your thoughts? Let me know down in the comments below what you thought of the Hall of Fame. And I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next. That's it. That's all I got for you. It's been a busy week. Lots of WrestleMania media stuff to get through. There's clips that I picked out that I didn't even get to because I don't want to make this a giant big show. I got a lot of editing to do for this, and I want to watch WrestleMania 2. I want to watch WrestleMania 2, guys. I can't just edit the whole time. So I do got to get this up. It'll probably be up. It's been later than usual, but look, man, I'm a one-man show. I'm trying to live my life, trying to fucking do this, trying to write a book. I'm doing a lot of shit right now, so I'm just trying to hold it all together. Just trying to do my thing. But I appreciate you guys hanging out with me, sticking with me to the end, watching all the way to the end. By the way, speaking of all the way to the end, I had the opportunity to try a little Blue Chew this weekend. We all, as a wrestling community, right? We're all, especially this being the Pro Wrestling podcast, we should all be very familiar with Blue Chew, right? Give your dick the old hot tag, as Conrad would say. I gotta tell you, man. Give it a try. It'll give you a nice little pep in your step. We'll just say that. I don't want to get too egregious here. It's not necessarily something you need just if you got a problem. I mean, if you just want to be able to fucking do an Iron Man match, you know what I'm saying, instead of a squash match. If you're a squash match guy and you're looking for that Iron Man performance, I should get a sponsorship at this point. it's a good call. It'll work for you. It will do the trick. So it gets the thumbs up from me, but that's all I'll say about that. But I figured I'd share it with you just because, God, I mean, if you're watching this, I'm sure you've heard it plugged a bajillion times across every wrestling platform podcast that exists, right? So, but that's it. That's all I got for you. Like, follow, subscribe at Seth Grimes Media on Facebook, TikTok, or Twitter. Should be doing more shorts in the near future as well. Get a little more time on my hands. Get back into the grind on cutting those up. Just keep an eye out for new projects as they come. Like I said, I am working on a new book, doing some fun stuff. Also looking to maybe get a review up for WrestleMania or 2 reviews, night 1, night 2. I don't know yet. We'll see how that plays out, where I get time. But just thank you guys for hanging out. I appreciate you so much. Peace, love, and pizza. I'm your boy, Seth Grimes, and this has been the Pro Wrestling Podcast.